I still hear some noise. Please cue your mics. Okay. Ready? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our October 10th Pancakes and Politics. Good to have everyone join us today. Let's start with going through the agenda. We want to welcome all Democrats. We're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to recite our values, our democratic guidelines. We're going to have a welcome, and then we're going to go into our political action happenings, upcoming events, and then we're going to go directly into our candidate forum. So if I can please have everyone stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you so very much. If you will please recite with us our Georgia guiding principles and our values that were taken from the Democratic Party of Georgia platform in 2011. Georgia Democrats believe in economic security and good jobs, quality public education, quality affordable health care, an earth that is sustainable, and equal justice under the law. I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning. It's, would you believe that we are already in October? We're about 25 days out from the election. And we have been gaining new members in blockbuster numbers, and want to thank everyone who has renewed their dues. We want to welcome all newcomers. Our dues are $35. You can go to our website, gafayetdems.org, in order to become a new member or to renew your dues. You can text us at 470-777-9153, 35 dues, and that will take care of your dues by texting. You can mail your dues into our headquarters. You can drop your dues off at our headquarters at 185 Cathy Avenue. We welcome all. We are a great group, and the office is fully manned. I believe the only day that we are closed now happens to be on Wednesday, but we have people in the office Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, go by when you have some time and say hi. We do make sure that, you know, you have on a mask before you enter. We do follow CDC guidelines. We like to have no more than a few people, no more than 10 people in the office, but we do have about 2, sometimes 3 volunteers. A lot of the volunteers are new, and in light of COVID, we can't mingle like we'd like to, and it's hard for our volunteers even to get to know many of us old timers that have been in FCDC for many, many years. So when you get a chance, please stop by. Our membership is growing, so I want to thank everybody for that. We have a point of business to bring up. This is the year for FCDC officer elections. And every position, chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, is up for elections. I've appointed a nominating committee consisting of Bill Grable, Ed Outlaw, Michelle Walker, and if you're interested in running for office, You can find their contact information on Breeze, or you can call the headquarters and talk to Michelle about your interest. I do want you to know that I am interested for running for a second term as chair, and so I look forward um, to to leading the organization for another term if I'm elected. So again, if you're interested in running in any of those positions, please contact Bill, Ed, Michelle via Breeze, or call headquarters and let Michelle know of your interest. Well, we have a bunch of Biden stuff. Not a lot. We just got a goodie box yesterday, and we got a bunch of buttons. We got some new shirts. The popular shirt is the Biden and Harris Make America Think Again. And so we did get some more of those shirts as well. Of course, we have Biden signs, but listen, this is it. We're not going to be able to get any more of the Biden Harris swag. The signs, I think Michelle told me this morning that we only have about 60 of them left. We will not be reordering. We will be getting some. We're anticipating getting some more Biden signs from the Biden campaign, but you know, we're hoping that they will come in, but we will not be ordering any more signs from our vendor. We still have we have some buttons, but the new member of the family are the Biden and Harris hats. They just arrived yesterday. They're embroidered, they're gorgeous. And so Michelle sent me a picture so I can show you what they look like. You'll need to stop by the office during office hours and purchase those items. Please don't call Michelle to have her hold them because you know that's not fair. We want people to at least go by and be able to check to see exactly what we have to offer as far as our merchandise. So what's coming up? What's coming up? What's coming up? We're in the middle of, we're at the beginning of early voting. Early voting starts October 12th until October 30th. It runs through October 30th. And these are the 4 locations for early voting. One of them is very new. This is the Fayette County Library. That's a new early voting location. I'm going to have Daryl Hicks right before the forum speak about the new boxes and also anything that he wants to bring forth before we in regards to early voting. But election day, obviously, we all know is November 3rd. The Fayette County Elections Office is still available for early voting. Excuse me. The Fayette County Library, Peachtree City Library, and Tyrone Town Hall. If you want to take a snapshot of the slides, I would recommend that you do so. The early voting dates and times are below. We only have one day of Saturday voting, and that's going to be on October 24th from 9 until 4 o'clock. We have a very special event happening on October 24th. I'm not at liberty to give more information because we're still finalizing the details, but it's called Roll to the Polls, when we're going to have the Corvette Club roll, drive around the county, stop at different locations, and we'll have rallies at that locations to encourage people to vote on that Saturday. Information is forthcoming on that, and that is but early voting on Saturday, October 24th, is 9 to 4 o'clock. What I wanted to bring to your attention is the number of mailed in, the number of ballots that have been mailed from the office, from the state already, how many have been requested. We have 85,970 registered voters in Fayette County. 21,258 were mailed ballots. That's only 25%. We were hoping for more. But what's also interesting is out of that 21,000, we've only had about 4,000 vote early. So this is the thing. It appears that many of you are holding on to your mailed ballots with probably the intent being to walk into the polling places on during early voting, which is fine, but there is going to be a different process when you walk in with your ballot, because you have to walk in with your mailed-in ballot to get it voided in order to vote in person. And Daryl Hicks can help clear that up for us. But when we experienced this during the primary, it got a little crazy in the polling places because everything was new, including that. So it took some of the poll workers away to handle calling the elections office. They had to call the elections office in order to get your mailed-in ballot voided so that they can give you a green card to vote in person in you know, where you were. And so many times there wasn't enough staff at the elections office to handle the calls that they were getting. And so that created some sort of a logjam. Now, I understand that there are going to be 3 employees manning the phones at the elections office to handle those calls. But what I want to say to you is that we have 159 counties in this state, and Fayette County alone has 36 precincts. So if everyone did that, it's going to cause pretty much a logjam at the elections office. So what we want you to do, we want you to really, really utilize the drop boxes. We don't want you to use the U.S. Postal Service because of the implied problems that may cause. But we got 4 boxes here, and we wanted to make sure that you utilize them. So again, use your camera and take a snapshot of the locations so that you can go ahead and use those. So let me see if I can bring Daryl on board to speak more about this. Let's see. Daryl, I can hear you. Okay, we wonderful. Sure can.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. Let me first, before I talk a little bit about these about the drop boxes, let me go back to what Carolyn indicated earlier, which is around the absentee ballot. Carolyn is absolutely correct. In our last election, folks would come into on election day, bring their, well, some wouldn't even bring their ballot. And if they didn't bring their ballot, that's even more complicated. But they would come into election, on election day, come into the polls and say, I want to vote. We would notice that they've received an absentee ballot. And the challenge for us is that the poll workers doesn't know if you voted or not. And so in order to confirm whether or not you voted, to avoid you voting twice, the poll worker then have to call the election office, and then the staff has to log into the computers to determine whether or not you voted twice. And if they show that you voted, although we haven't counted the vote yet, we've received it back at the election office, we have to then cancel or void that ballot and then give you an option to vote again. If it doesn't show that you voted, then you can vote on election day. But in some instances, it may cause you to have a provisional ballot. And then again, we have to cross-reference to see if you voted. So that's the challenge with it. I would encourage you to I would encourage you to send your absentee ballot in. Use these boxes that you see on the screen. We are receiving a lot of absentee ballots in those boxes now. So the numbers are going up on a daily basis. We will check those boxes up until the week before election, every 72 hours. And in the week of election, we will check them every 24 hours. And then we will check them up until 7 p.m. on election night. At 7 p.m., we will pull all of the ballots out and we will lock the box. So you can't put a ballot in that box after 7 p.m. on election night. Those boxes have cameras that are recording 24/7. So if something goes wrong, if we got somebody trying to harvest ballots, meaning that bringing a lot of ballots to that box to drop them off, that if it's determined that that's the case, it is a crime to do that. So don't harvest ballots and bring them there. The only way you can bring multiple ballots is if it's somebody in your house that you're bringing ballots for. So don't harvest ballots. Don't create a program that goes around and try to get folks to do that. So election is going, it will start on the 12th on Monday. We're very prayerful that it will all go well, but if you have problems, please don't hesitate to reach out to Carolyn or the 800 numbers that you've been given and the election office themselves. Carolyn, that's all I have for that. You've done a great job explaining what's happening.
Thank you. You have done that as well, and we certainly appreciate your leadership on that Fayette County Boards of Election. For those of you who don't know, Daryl Hicks is our appointed representative on the Board of Elections. The Board of Elections consists of 3 members, and one is appointed by the Democratic Party, the second is appointed by the Republican Party, and the third is appointed by the County Commission. And so this is impressive. Daryl is the chair, and first time that we've had a Democratic chair in charge of the Board of Elections. So thank you, Daryl. Thank you for your hard work. Like you said, like one of my members said to me that this is our Super Bowl coming up. And so November 3rd, November 4th is the only time that you can rest. And that is a note to our candidates as well. You can go to sleep on November 4th, but this is our Super Bowl, and we gotta play the best game that we can play up until 7 o'clock on November 3rd. Okay, I just want to mention a few more things, because I do want to make sure that that Commissioner Rousseau has a few words, but let me just bring up a few activities that are coming up. One is the golf cart rally, the sequel. I sent out in the newsletter some great pictures, and here are a few more pictures from the golf cart rally, Blue in the Bubble golf cart rally. Please take a snapshot of this. We want you to participate as much as possible. If you need some more information, there's an email of the organizer there. You can see our mascot, by the way. This is Reed Hamilton over to the left with his fabulous t-shirt on. But this is to support Blue candidates and generate excitement prior to the election. It will be held on October 17th at 11 a.m. at the Avenue, which is in Peachtree City, at the Peachtree City Welcome sign, or you can start from your favorite hub, or you can arrive 12 o'clock at Drake Field. The event ends promptly at 3 o'clock. So please, we would like your participation in that. It went very well. We had 75 carts at the last rally and 200 people. And so that was especially impressive in Peachtree City, of all places in Peachtree City. So there's a lot of blue in Peachtree City, and we want to make sure that we show our support. We're going to also start our street corner campaign rallies. We want to let our candidates' names get out there. You'll hear more about it. We'll do signups via email pretty soon, but you can see a great picture there of volunteers that were holding up signs for the Bill Lytle campaign. We want to designate key corners. Since we can't do any door-to-door knocking, can't do any in-person, but this is still allowing you an opportunity to volunteer. We've had a number of people asking, how can I help? Phone banking is not my thing, which is fine. So we need you physically to be able to hold up signs of our candidates. They certainly would appreciate your help. And during key times during the day, perhaps in the mornings, during the week as people are, there are people traveling in the mornings, also when they're coming home in the evenings, also probably on Saturdays. So we designated 2 Saturdays there. One is during the roll to the polls activity. We can get our candidates' names out there. And also the 31st is going to be our last Saturday prior to the election. So please sign up when you get some more information. And at this moment, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and bring Commissioner Rousseau up. Commissioner?
Madam Chair, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, everyone hopefully can hear me. Thank you, first of all, Madam Chair, for you and the board members' leadership as we continue to move forward on voting, not only for local elections, but so many things that are at stake with control of the U.S. Senate and the House, and not only the leadership that'll come out of the White House. I won't spend too much time this morning. Many of you have been made aware about the issue of the county celebrating its 200th anniversary next year. I led an effort to create an anniversary committee. Unfortunately, that was not approved by my colleagues. They did not see the wisdom in being able to bring a diverse group of citizens together to reflect on 200 years, the 200-year history of the county, to ensure that we actually celebrated the contributions of so many people, including our Native American brothers and sisters who we supposedly got this land from in a treaty. However, even though that did not pass by the board, they are encouraging people to perhaps work with the Historical Society. And they were included in the group that I asked to be a part of that. I asked you if you still want to be a part of the 200th anniversary and to ensure that diversity as well as the many contributions are celebrated. You may call Tamika Smith. You may know her formerly as Tamika White, our clerk. She got married recently and her name is Tamika Smith. Call her and ask her, since she has been designated as a person who's leading this charge, when the meetings are, and let them know that you want to participate. I think we had a unique opportunity and we missed it to talk about the issues of race, quality of life in the community, and where we want to go after 200 years. I think that opportunity still exists by you all calling her and asking her if you want to be on board. We could have had a series talking about racial issues, harmony issues within the community, bringing the historical markers from the Peace and Justice Initiative out of Montgomery here. The mayor has already created, Mayor of Fayetteville, has already created a commission to look at the issues of street name changes. I've seen their overview recently this week. And that was an opportunity to bring us all together and begin to have that very difficult dialogue, but certainly dialogue nonetheless that could lead us to a more harmonious community. Madam Chair, with that, I'm encouraging you all to support the candidates for the Democratic candidates, period, But I have a special request, a particular emphasis if you live in the district with Vicky, that the individual that she's running against has demonstrated consistently his unwillingness to see the county go forward. He's living in a bygone era, and he needs to be addressed. As for Bill, who runs countywide, I encourage you all to get out, because certainly having a different mindset and a different cultural viewpoint and a paradigm shift, I think, is critically important to this community at this present day and age. There's some other issues that I certainly will address, but you all covered the issues of drop boxes. I want to thank Daryl Hicks for his leadership and you all for advocating for that several weeks ago. They are in place, as has been indicated. Avail yourselves of them, and if you're not comfortable using them and want to hand deliver it, you can certainly deliver it to the county's elections office. I hear the unique challenges that Carolyn and Daryl have expressed. If you don't use that ballot, have requested one and want to carry it into the polls, I echo their sentiments that govern yourselves accordingly and be cautious of that. Let me end by saying to you this morning, congratulations again to those people who have offered themselves for their name to be on the ballot for public service. I know this has been a very unique opportunity to campaign, because you can't campaign in the traditional sense of the word, but I still encourage you to get out there, drive through neighborhoods with signs on your cars. Even though you cannot interact, there are people working in the yards, watering the grass, getting their mail, and they'll see that you are actively engaged in winning this election. With that, Madam Chair, I'd be happy to address any questions you might have received from our members. Other than that, I thank you for your continuous support of my efforts on your behalf on the Fayette County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. If there are any questions, of course, anyone may place them in the Q&A, and we'll have Virgil, are you monitoring the Q&A for me? I believe he is. I neglected to mention a specific change in the voting procedures for our Tyrone residents. You will hear from our candidate in just a few minutes who's running for the special election in Tyrone. But if you are a Tyrone voter, and we've been making calls, we've been trying to make calls to those that we have in the numbers that we have in the voter files, but it's not a lot. So those of you who are listening in on our webinar today, I need you to pass the information along to those of you who live in Tyrone, or you have friends or family that live in Tyrone, in order to vote in the special election in Tyrone. Then you're going to have to do something a little bit different. If you requested an absentee ballot to vote in the general election, then this week, starting this next week coming up, you will automatically be mailed an absentee ballot to vote in the Tyrone special election. Again, you will automatically be mailed, and this is based on the Fayette County Elections Office, you will be mailed a separate ballot, absentee ballot to vote in the Tyrone special election. If you vote early, if that is not you, but you decide to vote early these next 3 weeks, and you vote at any of the early locations, you need to request from the poll worker a different green card to vote in at the location. At the 4 early voting locations, they have a different machine that you can go to and vote at the special election, vote for the special election. So you need to tell your poll worker that you intend to vote in the Tyrone special election and they would give you a separate green card and will point you to the voting machine that you can use to vote in the special election. If you vote on election day, this is where, people in Tyrone, we've dealt with this for years. We're hoping to get it changed in the future. But the special election voting machine is going to be housed in only one location, one polling location, and that's going to be the Tyrone Library. So for Tyrone residents, Tyrone residents votes in a couple of locations, polling locations. They vote at the Tyrone Library. They also vote at Hopewell United Methodist Church. They also vote at Grace Evangelical Church. Now, in order to vote in a special election, they have to make a separate trip over to the Tyrone Library precinct in order to vote in the special election. So we are trying to get the word out that it's a little bit of a mountain, but we can certainly climb it. Over the years, we've had, as you can see, the obstacles that we in Tyrone have to experience. The voter turnout is usually low in the special elections, and it is called, and so our candidate does not have to get 50+1 in order to win. It's going to be majority. Whoever gets the highest number of votes is going to be the one to win. I talked to Floyd. I did talk to Floyd Jones about this yesterday, as a matter of fact, just to be clear, because we've had many of our residents call the election office to try to understand exactly what's going on, and we're getting mixed signals here. But in talking to Floyd Jones, the supervisor of the elections office, yes, we've been told that starting next week, if you requested an absentee ballot to vote in the general election, that you will automatically get an absentee ballot for the Tyrone election. But there is one thing that you do need to, I'm just getting a little note from Daryl. One thing that you do need to put on that top of that special election ballot is please write on the top that it is for the Tyrone election. One other little thing that we have to do. Right on the top, across the top, that this is for the Tyrone election. So we're going to pull this off because we're tired of the nonsense, especially, another obstacle to get the candidates that we want in office. We will tolerate it now until we can make change. So I'm asking you, please, to make sure that you vote. Voter registration period is over now. So those who are registered, we need you to get yourself to the polls. We would like, of course, for you to request absentee ballots and to use the ballot drop boxes. We would love for you to do that as the first step. If you did not do that, we have 3 weeks of early voting. I am told that the busiest times of early voting is going to be on Monday and also on Friday. If you can avoid those days, then you should have an easy breezy time during the 3 weeks of early voting. So, but make sure that we can make changes happen. This is really ludicrous. It just feels like an extension of voter suppression when you have to, when our Tyrone citizens are giving all of these special, specific rules in order to get our candidate in office. Doesn't make sense. And so, of course, we want to stay off on November 3rd. So with your support, we can make this happen. Again, for Tyrone residents, we want to make sure that another ballot is coming. When you finish choosing who you want to win, and we hope that it's Woods. He's the only Democrat that's on the ballot. Then make sure that you put at the top of that ballot, this is for the Tyrone election, and place it in the ballot box. For those who early vote during the next 3 weeks, we want you to ask the poll worker for another green card so that you can, and point you to the special election voting machine so that you can vote in the special election in addition to the general election. On November 3rd, and we hope that that is not you, then we want to make sure that you know that when you leave, if your polling place is not the Tyrone Library, that you make an additional trip over to the Tyrone Library, ask the poll watcher for a special green card to vote in the special election. So again, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank those volunteers that worked very, very hard. I want to thank those phone bankers who stayed on the phones with us week after week. I want to thank those people who bought merchandise, because the merchandise is a fundraiser for our organization so that we can support our candidates. But we still have about 25 days to go. We need you to dig in really deep. Call the office and ask how you can help. When you get the emails, please respond. We need everyone on board. Not only is it from the top of the ticket at the White House, we need you at the state level. We need you specifically at the local level. We can make big changes in this county, especially when we're talking about the county commission. We have 2 Democrats running for the county commission. And when the school board, we've never had an African-American female Democrat on that school board who's a mom who will protect your children. And also we have the sheriff. The sheriff is running throughout the county. And now we have an opportunity to get a Democrat on Tyrone Town Council. They have held up the gates to us for many, many years. We've run candidates, we've run Derek Jackson, we've run Pola Costin, and they have time and time again in our county decided that we're not going to let you in. And so this is an opportunity to get in and to stay in. So I implore you to do what you know how to do best, and that is to get to the polls these next 3 weeks and November 3rd. I want to thank you so very much. And so on that accord, I'm going to pass the mic over to our moderator. It's Virgil Flood, and then you'll be hearing from our candidates. So hope to see you in the next couple of weeks, next 25 days during our Super Bowl. And we'll have a big celebration party with our candidates virtually online on November 3rd. Mike's passed over to you, Virgil Flood.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good morning, Fair Dems. It's my pleasure to be your moderator this morning. The rules are pretty simple. Each of the candidates will have 5 to 7 minutes to tell you about themselves and maybe answer a question or two. At the end, we'll have some time for you to ask a few more questions to get to know these folks just a little bit better. So if you have questions, put them in the Q&A and we'll address them at the end. So we're going to go in alphabetical order, starting with Candace Aaron. Candace is a decorated Army veteran. For over a decade, she's been a strong and effective advocate for her community. She's been recognized through commendations and awards, most recently receiving the following prestigious awards: the Aaron Thatcher Advocate of the Year Award, the Southside Supports Employee Humanitarian Award, Service Providers Association for Developmental Disabilities Advocates of the Year Award. Candace is a sitting member of the Atlanta Hartsfield ADA Committee. She assists in setting standards for engaging with people with disabilities, monitors and evaluates program effectiveness and outcomes, and participates in ongoing discussions and planning for accessibility within the airport and for national and international airlines. Candace has used her extensive experience with Fayette County schools by helping inform parents of their parental rights in IEP meetings and educating families on current disability laws. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Candace Aaron.
Hi, good morning, guys, and thank you so much, Virgil and Carol, and all of you for having me this morning. I am really thankful for the opportunity. It's been a tremendous journey being a candidate for school board and just being a candidate on the Democratic ticket for 2020. I probably share the same feelings like my colleagues here who have also decided to run in such a tumultuous year, but I am, like them, very grateful for the opportunity this year. I'm running for Fayette County School Board as a mother of three. I have lived in Fayette County for about 10 years, and I have had close ties with the special education department here in Fayette County because my oldest son, Benjamin, has traumatic brain injury and has been a part of that community since birth. It is really important to me this year, in particular, to run because COVID has really highlighted some of the gaps, which I hope to help fill by expanding the conversation here on the school board. As probably many of you, I here moved to Fayette County because of the educational system. There's a top-rate education system here in Fayette County, and I want to make sure that we continue on that trajectory. Brian Kemp has cut the budget across the board, and that is going to affect the outcome of education. We're also facing a pandemic where we don't have an answer yet, though we've heard that there will be a vaccination soon. We don't know the outcome of that, but it has, as many of you who are parents, seen affected the education of our kids. In particular, our kids with special needs in the educational system have been affected. And so I want to make sure that we are engaging our students by investing in them, investing in technology so that we continue to make sure that they have strong educational outcomes moving forward, investing in our teachers. There's training that needs to happen. We do here in Fayette County have an older population. And so our teachers, many of our teachers are not as versed in technology. And again, those of you who are parents probably were on the tail end of that in March and May when we were trying to figure out how to educate our kids moving forward. So we definitely need to look at investing in our teachers, investing in diversity for our teachers also. Investing in our parents. We have a lot of parents here in Fayette County who are not, again, very well versed in technology. Some of them, English is not their first language. And a lot of those issues came to the forefront earlier this year. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to support our students, our parents, and our teachers. And then we need to look at financial outcomes as we move forward. The pandemic has affected all of us in different ways, but certainly the school board recently had a conversation about the millage rate and what that would look like. So we need to be careful as we move forward with our financial planning and how we can better support our school board, our students, our teachers, and make sure that we are on the right path for 2021 and the years moving forward. And I apologize if I'm a little bit slow this morning. I'm recovering from surgery, so bear with me. Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you, Candace, and just your commitment to be a part of this event this morning and what you've done and your experience. I'm sure the people who have listened to you and hear what you've said can understand why you would be such a great addition to the Fayette County Board of Education. So thank you for your efforts. We'll get through this all together. Next up is Vicki Butler. Vicki is a successful businesswoman and passionate community volunteer focused on building a better local community. Vicki is somewhat of a nomad. She was born in Houston, grew up in Denver. She moved to Georgia 28 years ago from Toronto and has been a resident of Fayette for the last 19 years. She lives in Tyrone with her husband, Wilbur, and their sons. Vicki has a bachelor's degree in communications from the University of Houston. Prior to her real estate career, she was affiliated with the United Way of Metro Atlanta. Her background in social service and communications give her a servant's heart combined with the caring and understanding needed for public service. Vicki has the distinction of being the first African-American to lead the Fayette County Board of Realtors in the association's 50-year history. She currently serves as the state director for the Georgia Association of Realtors and is a member of the Professional Development Committee on the state level. She was awarded the Realtor of the Year for 2019. Vicki and her family are members of the Cornerstone Baptist Church in Fayetteville. Vicki? Vicki, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I always know when to turn that on and off. Can everybody hear me okay? Just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be online today. This is my first time running as a candidate, but I felt that it was very important because of the changes in our county that are going on and also the changes across the country. I am running for a county commissioner, pretty much to be a voice and a vote, and give another support and diversity to our county voters in Fayette County, and just to be a representation for you. I have a platform that I'm running on, and my first one is Aging Community Resources, and pretty much to support the expansion of housing and services for our aging community to meet their growing needs. County recreational amenities to pretty much support enhanced recreational amenities for the county and for the residents' quality of life. Planned growth, support the enhancement of planned growth that does not destroy or take away from the character of our county. And the last one pretty much is no tax increases. And my goal is to pursue alternative revenue streams to support our budget without impacting the citizens. I feel that I'm the right person for the job because I have a vision for the county that is forward thinking. My candidacy is a reflection of the changes that are happening in our community. Fayette County, like the rest of metropolitan Atlanta region, is growing, and I'm the best person to be at the forefront of that change. Pinewood Studios and the new data center development are just two examples of the changes happening in Fayette. However, the growth in our county should be managed in a smart way. We can add new projects which help build our county without destroying or taking away from the character of Fayette. We must retain the values that are important to the people who live here, such as quality of life, education, and housing.
Okay, I thank you, Vicki. I appreciate. I didn't hear whether you had ended or not because your audio clicked out. But thank you for your commitment and your diligence and your hard work. As Carolyn mentioned, there's 25 more days, and then you can rest. And I'm sure Charles will appreciate every ounce of work and effort that you and Bill put into this. Next up is Bill Lytle. Bill is a candidate for Fayette County Commission in District 5, which is the at-large district. So everybody will have a chance to vote for Bill. Bill believes that new leadership is needed to fully represent all of our citizens. Over the past few years, the commission has supported the States Religious Freedom Act and provided a platform to honor the Confederate States of America. Neither of those are good things, by the way. He was taught from an early age to accept and respect all people. Bill was born in Indiana, but moved to Albany, Georgia in 1966. After graduating from Georgia Southwestern, he began working as a reporter for the Albany Herald. He then started a teaching career in 1989. He's been involved with Democratic politics since the mid-'80s and has run for office before, so he knows the challenges and knows the effort and knows the time and resources that are required. Bill is now a retired teacher in the Fayette County school system, and his wife still teaches at Sandy Creek High School. Once elected, he will work to support first responders and teachers. His dad was a welder and a union man who taught Bill to be honest, to afford all people the same respect you want for yourself, and to fight for honorable pay for all workers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Lytle.
Good morning. Can you hear me, Virgil? Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. I'm proud to be here this morning. I'm proud to be a part of this great slate of local candidates. Thank you, Virgil. Thank you, Carolyn, for all the work that you two do for this party and community in our country. Carolyn had talked a little bit about our campaign. Just a quick update. Garrett Reynolds is in charge of our sign waving. We started last week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4:30, 5:30 at the square in Fayetteville. Love to have you come out, wave signs, put on a t-shirt, show support. I've started some waving yesterday morning with Jerry Arkin, intersection of 54 and 74. Should be signs at the headquarters. I've delivered 2 or 3 loads and got more coming in. Campaign has done a couple mail outs, independent voters, leaning Republicans. And as Carolyn said, we all know this is a campaign with limited voter contact for the obvious reason. So you can help us by talking to friends and neighbors, waving signs, social media, whatever you can do to get the word out about our campaign. So thank you for all of that. Now, just a bit about myself. As Virgil said, I did spend most of my life in Albany, Georgia. I was born in Indiana in the mid-60s. My father built aircraft for a living, so we moved down to Albany when a plant opened up. He knew how to make airplanes. So I got from my parents, they came out of the Great Depression, both of us, strong democratic values that they stood with, and they passed on to me and my siblings. Not an abstract idea about America, but an idea about Americans. It's easy to have an abstract idea about our country, but to have an idea about all of us, regardless of race, regardless of sexual orientation, national origin, religion, that we all are accepted, we all are welcomed, we all are loved, we all need to contribute, and we all and to do that, we make our community and country better. So those are the values I got early on from my father, born in 1929, and my mother, born in 1934. And those values stay with me. Now, as Virgil said, I was a newspaper writer for a few years out of college, and then in late 80s, I became a teacher and stayed involved in politics, Democratic politics, most of my adult life. I ran for Congress in South Georgia in 92, 94, got beat both times. I worked on Mark Taylor's campaign for governor. I worked on some local races, city commission, county commission down in Albany. I taught in that area, and then my wife and I, Phyllis, moved here in 2011. I took a job teaching at Fayette County High School. Absolutely loved it. Spent 6 years there, and it's a great reflection. That school is just a great reflection of this community and our country. The blend of students and their experiences from all over the country, all over the world. I think they taught me more than I taught them. So we moved in 2011, and my wife Phyllis still teaches at Sandy Creek, as Virgil said. We got involved in the local Democratic Party here, and I helped Kevin Madden in his race for city council in Peachtree City, and he won. I ran 2018 against Marty Harbin, got beat, ran hard, but got beat. And then I helped Darrell Langford with his race most recently on the city council of Fayetteville. So we are, and Virgil and many others know far better than me. I've only been here since 2011. We are seeing this county change. This state has changed. This country is going to change from all the way from my father's era into today. When this country is at crisis, it's our party that does the work to right the wrongs, to put this country back on track. We saw it with Roosevelt, all the way through with President Obama, and we got a great ticket at the top. And what we have to do now is to vote blue all the way through. We have to vote blue all the way through. And I'm so excited to be a part of this slate of candidates. As I said, I look forward to working with Charles. I look forward to working with Vicki Butler, because by January, there'll be a completely different makeup of this county commission, and will be a better makeup. Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you, Bill. With Bill and Vicky, Carol mentioned this already, we would have the opportunity to have a majority of the Board of Commissions for the first time ever. That's a big deal. And Charles has spoken eloquently about all the things that are not getting done today that could get done with a Democratic majority. So please, please, please vote blue all the way through. I love that. So we've talked a little bit about the county commission and the school board. Now we'll shift to a different countywide race. That's for sheriff. It's another very, very significant and important race. Chris Brazuris could not be here with us this morning. He had another commitment. He's represented today by Ms. Phoebe Pancakes. But I'll tell you a little bit about Chris. He's worked in law enforcement for more than 20 years in a variety of capacities in several different Metro Atlanta departments. He began his law enforcement career as a correction officer with the Fulton County Sheriff's Reserve, and he had the honor of working with the 1996 U.S. Olympic Games in Atlanta. After the Olympics, Chris joined the Riverdale Police Department, where he became a field trainer, investigator, and a master patrol officer. With a desire to move into supervision, he joined the Fairburn Police Department and became a sergeant and shift commander, one of the first officers in the state of Georgia to be certified in crisis intervention. He later joined the Clayton County Sheriff's Department and served as a captain and assistant division commander of the fifth largest sheriff's office in the state. He was responsible for the supervision of the warrant division deputies, the elite Cobra unit, and the fugitive unit. He's currently a major with the city of Grantville Police Department. Again, Chris could not be here today, and so on his behalf is Ms. Phoebe Pancakes. Phoebe?
Thank you, Virgil. Good morning, members and invited guests. I bring greetings to you today on behalf of Chris Pajor, your candidate for Fayette County Sheriff. Chris is not able to join us due to a prior commitment, as Virgil stated, and he sends his regrets as well. For more information on Chris's platform, please visit his website at www.chrisforsheriff.com. In addition, please like him on Facebook at Chris for Sheriff. Also, follow Chris on Instagram at Chris for Sheriff. Chris will be hosting a live chat on Instagram this upcoming Tuesday evening, October 13th at 7 p.m. He welcomes your questions. If you don't have Instagram or can't make the live chat, please contact Chris directly at 770-975-2380. Again, he welcomes your calls and questions. On behalf of Chris, we thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Pancakes. Remember to put your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your Zoom screen if you have questions for any of the candidates specifically or questions in general. So for those of us who live in Tyrone, there is a special election to replace a council member who passed away this summer. Eric Woods is our candidate in that election. And as Carolyn mentioned earlier, we have to take an extra step to vote for Eric. So we must be diligent and we must follow through on whichever method you choose to vote, but you have to ask for a vote for the special election for Tyrone for Eric Woods. So Eric's a graduate in 1988 of Central State University, where he received a bachelor's degree in political science and philosophy. After graduating, he joined the Army in the Intelligence Corps as a second lieutenant. He served our country for the next 28 years with honor and distinction. Eric continued his education and earned a master's degree in human resources from Troy State. He's currently pursuing a doctoral degree in the human resources / business administration arena. He's married to Karen, who's a certified nurse midwife, who's delivered over 3,000 infants. They have two children, Eric III, who attends the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and their beautiful daughter, Addison, who's a student at Birch Elementary. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Woods.
Hey, thanks for that introduction of my brief bio, Virgil. And as all the previous outstanding candidates before me have said, thank you to the Flood family and the Fayette County Democratic Committee. There's absolutely no way that we could be as successful as we've been up to this point without your support, your help, your well wishes, your suggestions. It's just been a phenomenal thing to be a part of this great audience. As Virgil said, my name is Eric Woods, and I'm running for a council seat in Tyrone. And Tyrone, for the most part, is a very nice place. I've really met some really nice people since we've been here. We've been residents of Tyrone now since 2008. My son is a graduate of Sandy Creek High School. My daughter Addison will make her rounds from Birch Elementary, Flat Rock Middle School, and she will also attend Sandy Creek High School, and she will be the candidate for United States Military Academy. And the way I think, if my math is right, she will be a candidate in 2034, and to continue the Woods tradition. Getting back to my seat here that I'm pushing for in Tyrone, my vision for Tyrone has never changed. And if you find the opportunity to, if you haven't already done so, if you could go to electericwoods.com, you will see the entire vision. You'll also learn a little bit about me and what I stand for. But just to give you, a brief snippet of my vision, it states that I would like to see a vibrant, diverse economy, yielding an environment where residents can live, work, play, and enjoy a superior quality of life in Tyrone. Now, having said that, there are some that would like to maintain the current downtown area, which, to give you a reference, kind of, if you haven't driven through downtown and you live in another part of the county, when you drive through downtown, just to give you an example, we kind of look like Mayberry. You know, if you used to watch Andy Griffith back in the day, we kind of look like Mayberry. But there are changes, there are efforts, there are desires to grow at a pace where we can control the growth and just upgrade our quality of life in the downtown area and the surrounding area of Tyrone. If you've been in our area, another part of the town that there are two other parts of town that really stick out to me. We have a Sonic location that has been closed now, and the weeds are starting to overtake the place. I want to say that Sonic has been closed now for about 5 years. It's been a long time, but as you drive by it, it sits up on the hill right off of 74 across from Publix. The weeds are starting to overtake that area. And, I just envision having a little initiative and maybe approaching the Sonic corporate headquarters and say, hey, is there anybody that would like to come to this fabulous town to revive that Sonic or replace it? Another area of contention in the town is if you're driving down Palmetto Road out of downtown, there is some undeveloped land and buildings where the weeds are just taking that area over. And that area has been an eyesore for over a decade. And I just don't know why that is, when the town has the power to make certain changes happen. One thing I've learned from talking to people like Charles Rousseau and other members that are pursuing office, at the county level, is that once I am elected, I definitely will need some help. So, God willing, I get in the seat. I really hope that not only will I have to maintain that seat, hopefully there's someone in the queue right now that will continue in 2021 to bring just another thought process to Tyrone to make the city grow in a manner and represent everyone. Speaking of representation, Carolyn said something earlier at the very beginning when she came on. This is a race, and sleeping is not an option because the last week I've spent many of late nights answering questions through my website, and most recently, the town of Tyrone has a Facebook page called the Tyrone Connection. And if you live in Tyrone and you've been on there, I've been answering questions late at night, and a lot of rumors. I must feel as though I'm a threat to some people because the latest rumor I had to squelch was I heard Eric Woods wants to defund our police department, and so I had to get on there and I'm a data-driven person, so I went to the data. I went to the FBI crime link and I showed that for the most part, make a long story short, Tyrone has pretty much had 0 murders, and we've had, I want to say 9 assaults, 12 violent crimes. So to sum up, our police force just does not have the challenges that other police forces have, but that is large in part to the beauty and the family-oriented visions of our citizens. We are so fortunate to have citizenry in Tyrone where everyone is pretty much family oriented, which is one of the things that I try to show that is an issue that binds us Tyronians together, is our family values. It binds us together. It doesn't separate us, and there are a million things that we can be separated from, and one of them was which I'm running on, is our mural that is represented in our current town hall, which pays an oath to the Confederacy. I've always had an issue with that mural for the past 13 years, and hopefully as they move to the next building, the mural will not follow them. But having said that, I want to be a council person for all of Tyrone, not just a select few. And I want to see the town grow. I want to be that council person where even if you do not like my politics, I will still diligently support your efforts in whatever you think is right for Tyrone. Finally, before I close, because I don't, I could talk passionately about this all day, but as I bring this to a close, I would just like to say that if you know of anyone that lives in Tyrone, please tell them about me, tell them my name, point them to my website. There's a lot of information about me and what I would like to see happen on the website. And the second thing is I can't stress it enough. I would like to be a council member for all of Tyrone, regardless of religion, orientation, race. I would like to represent the entire town. Thank you for your time, Virgil. Thank you for hosting this. I yield it back to you.
Thank you so much, Eric. And you guys who are listening, you've got to see what I see, which is a reflection of the community, both in terms of the diversity, gender, race, age, viewpoints, perspectives. We've got some great candidates, and we've got a unique opportunity in Fayette this year to do something that's not ever been done, to elect the first African-American on the school board, to elect 2 members of the Board of Commissioners that would give us a majority, to elect a Democratic sheriff, to elect a Democrat on the Tyrone Town Council, all of which would be momentous. All we have to do is vote. The numbers are with us. If you recall, there were more than half of the voters in the June primary were Democrats. And so if we continue that same trend, we'll do just fine, because we've got certainly qualified, capable, engaged candidates. So once more, if you've got questions that you want to ask, please put them in the chat. Meanwhile, I've got a couple that I'd like to ask each of you. And so if you could keep your response to 1 minute or less uninterrupted. I'll start with Candace on this one. We'll go back through the same order. And it's this, what makes you a good leader?
Thank you, Virgil, again for the question. And I want to say that it's been a pleasure listening to the rest of my colleagues and the passion this morning. On Saturday morning, I feel really invigorated listening to them, and I'm excited for November to roll around and for the vote. What makes me a good leader? I think there are 2 really important answers here. One is a leader knows when to listen. And I think that that's really exemplified by the one Democrat that we have on the school board, Leonard. He really exemplifies the listening to the community. And I think that that's important in leadership, that we make sure that we're listening to the teachers, we're listening to the families, and we're listening to the students and the needs of our community. The other thing is, that's important for leadership, I believe, is leading from not just in front, but leading from within, right? You have to know the people that you're serving. You have to make sure that you're keeping an open door policy to make sure that you're keeping up with the needs of the community. And that's been replicated many times by my colleagues, again, like Eric has been saying, right? He's on the boards, he's on these message groups, he's on the chats, listening for what the needs are of our community. And I feel like sometimes we're getting away from that because it's become very politicized. Everything has become politicized, unfortunately, here in 2020, but it's important to listen, and it's important to lead from within and continue to be engaged in your community.
Thank you, Candace. Next, Vicki, same question.
Make sure I unmute. Hello, everyone again. I think I'm a good leader because, first of all, I have training in leadership, serving on the Fayette Chamber Leadership Academy, the Fayette County Board of Realtors Leadership Academy on the local and state levels, being in positions of leadership with the Fayette County Board of Realtors as president and on the state level as state director. Also serving on the Chamber's Visioning Committee on its board of directors for 6 years, coupled with my relationships that I form in the community with the school boards, the school administration, partnering with organizations like Pinewood Forest and Pinewood Studios to bring the first ever new urbanism class to our realtors in the community. I have experience with budgeting, comprehensive plans, administration. I'm a team player. I do not lead from the word I, but I lead from the word we. I support those who support the cause, and I am a champion for what's right.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Next up, Bill.
Virgil, I'll refer back to my parents. As I said earlier, and you said in the bio, I was 9 years old in 1966, and we moved from a small all-white town in central Indiana to the deep South in 66. So I've got a very good lesson from my parents at that period. And I didn't know at that point how much it would shape me. And the lesson was that to accept others, you're no better than anyone else because of your skin color. And that view early on, it helped me in many ways. And it's a view that will also help us not only learn more about ourselves, more about others, willing to listen, willing to understand, and the idea that to take that, and if you have an opportunity to be in public service, to serve in government, and I use a quote from President Truman, who tried to explain the difference between the parties. The Republican Party helps people that don't need help, the rich people. And our party, at its best, helps people who needs help. So I think combining those two qualities will help me if I'm fortunate enough to serve on the county commission.
Thank you so much, Bill. I'm going to go to Phoebe. If you can just talk a little bit about Chris's leadership. What do you think makes Chris a good leader?
Yes, good morning again. I think Chris makes a good leader due to his wide array of experience, his background, his years in law enforcement, dealing in different serving in different capacities of law enforcement, his willingness to serve, transparency within the position, and his values and beliefs. All of those things coupled together, I think will make him a good and effective leader. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I would like you all to join the Instagram Live and represent this question to Chris directly. Of course, no one can answer the question as well as the candidate. So I encourage you again to join Tuesday evening, October 13th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe. Eric, in 1 minute or less, what makes you a good leader?
I caught that hint, Virgil. 1 minute or less. So I'm gonna make it 30. I'm gonna make it 30 seconds. I don't consider myself a good leader. I consider myself a phenomenal, highly experienced professional leader who always leads with care. That acronym CARE for me has done me well in the past 28 years serving on numerous leadership positions in the military. And my acronym for CARE stands for commitment, accountability, responsibility, and excellence. I care for everyone in the town of Tyrone. I care for that young man who passed me in the post office the other day with his huge, that his rebel flag had to have been 25 by 25 flying on the back of his truck. And he drove past the post office with the flag waving in the air, and he was having a great time. I care about that young man, and I want to be his servant leader also. Irregardless as to what I think he may think about me, I want to be his servant leader. And that's another acronym that I think is important as you pursue public office. You are a servant leader. There are many things that I could want for Tyrone, and there are a lot of things I would like to see in Tyrone. But what does the majority of the citizens in Tyrone really want? And I think that as a leader, I need to find that out. And there are a number of ways that information can be extracted from the populace, which I don't think has been done. I mean, now we have the capability to do surveys, at the drop of a hat without engaging millions of people or knocking on doors. We can engage our 7,500 citizenry to see what they really want on certain issues. And I care enough about them to represent the wishes of the masses in Tyrone. I said, I'm out of time, Virgil, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Eric. And we are actually running out of time for this segment, but I do have one question I'd like to ask everyone as well, one more time. And it's something that Eric just referenced, and that's listening to the wishes of the citizenry, which is important to hear what other folks want to see done. But it's also important for the voters to hear what you want to get done. What would be your number one or two priorities? And you don't have to go through the entire litany of your things that you'd like to change, because I know for many of us, that's a long list. But just the top one or two things that you would like to see done differently or better or change that you'd like to impact in your role as a newly elected person. So I'll start in reverse order. So I'll start first with Eric. What would you like to see done differently or better in Tyrone?
Yeah, two things off the, like you said, my 100 list. The first one is the engagement of all Tyronians, not just a select few, not just that small microcosm, but all Tyronians and what they want to see in this town. One thing that I found as I run for office this year is the one thing that one other thing that binds all Tyronians together, regardless of who they are in the background. Everybody seems to want to drive around the golf course, which leads me to my second thing that I would like to see, and that is the downtown area. And I know this is probably a long goal, but to see the downtown area flourish to a point where we have eclectic shops, a nice restaurant where you could say, Carolyn, let's go to dinner, and you not have to get in your car and go to Peachtree City or Atlanta. You can get in your golf cart and make a left, right, another left turn, and you're at a really nice eclectic restaurant where you can take your wife. So those are the two primary things that I would like to see.
Thank you, Eric. Phoebe, has Chris outlined the number one or two things that he'd like to see done or changed in Fayette as sheriff?
Yes, good morning again. I will speak to one of his key initiatives that he would like to address as sheriff, and you can get more information on this topic and others on his website, jail reform. Some of Chris's key objectives with jail reform is to make jail time constructive. Inmates will have access to drug and alcohol treatment, mental health programs and classes on financial literacy and GED preparation. In doing this, he will address recidivism. Also implement work programs, work release for certain offenders and inmates, work program for others who can clear out the streets and cut the grass and do certain community service projects for less harsh crimes. So that's one of his key focuses as sheriff. And like I said, please visit his website, www.chris4sheriff, to get more information on his platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Phoebe. Bill.
Virgil, certainly if I'm fortunate to be elected, I will open my eyes and ears and hearts to all people in this county. Like I've said, there won't be any space for a celebration of the Confederacy, which I spoke out against when that issue came up, nor will there be a vote to support the Religious Freedom Act. Instead of doing that, the county commission ought to vote to encourage our state lawmakers to accept the Medicaid expansion. That would help our community much more. And the budget is roughly about $80 million, which with very little, if any, money for nonprofits. We should take a look at that and see how we can use that money more effectively to help people. Very small portion of that budget, 13 or 14%, goes to cultural activities. We should take a look at that and see how we can use more money for cultural activities in our community. So those are a couple big issues if I'm fortunate to be elected. Thank you for the question.
Let's hope you are fortunate enough to be elected and join Vicki and Charles on the Board of Commissioners. Vicki, what are your number 1 or 2 priorities?
Thank you, Virgil. I think within my first 100 days, I'd like to get a deeper understanding of the various departments within the government: public safety, recreation, senior services. I'd like to sit down with each of the department heads just to see what their plans are and what they're pursuing and how I can participate in that role with them. Going back to my platform and my key issues, aging community resources, just looking at what we have now and supporting what I can support that is coming up, and the growing needs of our seniors in this community with recreational facilities or amenities that are conducive for our senior population, and also to support the growth and bringing in viable businesses that can support folks moving, working in the county, but not living in the county. So bringing in those businesses, bringing in those housing developments that support what Fayette County is trying to do. And then also looking at other revenue streams for our county as far as taxes, so we will not burden our citizens with the tax revenue that's coming our way.
Thank you, Vicki. And last but not least, Candace, your priorities.
So as many of you have heard me speak previously know, I'm a mother of a child with a disability. So that community is very near and dear to my heart. We have 5 representatives of our school board, and I hope to be one of those representatives. And I feel like the general ed population is very important, but they are very also well represented. So making sure that I'm giving voice and support to families who have children with special needs would be probably one of my top priorities. Expanding the conversation around mental health for those families and for those students. And the second priority would be diversifying our teacher population. Just like I am hoping to diversify our school board by being the first African-American woman elected. I think it's important that representation does matter, and representation currently for our teachers, we want the best, we definitely want the best, but the best can look different for a variety of people. The best does not have to look like one thing. And so those would be my 2 priorities. I think diversifying our teacher and our administration and supporting our families who have kids with special needs.
Thank you so much, Candace, and particularly thank you for powering through this morning when you're not fully physically at 100%. So thank you, all of you, for being a dialogue in this conversation. Thank you for your time and your efforts. I know firsthand how much of a challenge it is to run, but I also know how rewarding it is when you win. So we are 1,000% behind you, and we really, really appreciate you being a part of this conversation this morning and sharing yourselves and your lives and your families with all of us who live here in Fayette. So thank you for being a part of the change. And with that, Madam Chair, I will turn the meeting back over to you.
I want to thank the candidates also. Thank you for rallying to the call. I know it took a lot of soul searching, but I want you to know that when we came knocking, I'm so proud that you answered, and because you represent the best of Fayette County, and I want you to know how appreciative that I am that you have decided to say yes and step in. For those who've never run for office, I think you should. I think it is a growth period that you never would expect happen to you, win or lose, and we're encouraging victory this time. But I'm a former candidate from way back in the day, and you grow in ways that you never thought possible. And unfortunately, this was a very special year with the virus, but still to put yourself out there and to let people know who you are, who you represent. We tried our best to do our best in the office with assisting you in this campaign. But I don't know if I'll get a chance because this next couple of weeks, I don't know if I get a chance to say thank you because these next couple of weeks are going to be really, really, really crazy. We just don't know what to expect with this election, with the lack of leadership that we have in the White House. But I want you to know just to remain diligent, and we support you 100%. And of course, we're going to see you in a little celebration room on November 3rd. Via Zoom. I do want to mention that Daryl Hicks, I want to bring him back up. Daryl, are you still,
Yes,
you able
I'm
to sign on? Okay. He wanted to say reaffirm some things regarding the Tyrone special election.
So Madam Chair is absolutely correct. If you go out to the state site and request an absentee ballot, you will automatically be mailed a municipal ballot. However, if you go out to the state site and you print off your absentee ballot application and mail it in, you won't automatically get a municipal ballot, which is why if you do that, you have to write on the top of it, Tyrone, so that they know that you're requesting a municipal ballot. So just make sure you do that. And if for whatever reason you're not receiving your ballot, please call the election office. They'll be able to help you out. Remember, if you go into the state site, that's a state function, and the state is actually managing the process of mailing out those ballots. If you print it off yourself and you mail it in, that's a county function. The county is actually mailing out those absentee ballots. So just as clarification. And then, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I've said it before, but I want to say it again that the Board of Election really appreciate the county commissioner, in particular, our commissioner, Charles Russo, for his effort to help us get those ballot boxes. We got approved for 3, but in the end, we got 4. And I got to tell you, for those of you that was there on that special commission meeting night, we had to fight really hard to get those boxes. We got it done, but Charles was our champion up on the dais. So thank you, Commissioner Russo. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. And so can we hear from our Representative Derek Jackson? Derek, are you in the room?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Absolutely.
Well, I never pass up an opportunity to say, get out and vote. As you know, early voting starts on Monday, October 12th. But just to let you all know that yours truly continue to do my part to represent Fayette County. Last week, I had the opportunity to be on Zoom for 30 minutes with the former United Nations Ambassador Samantha Power, because I'm one of the co-chairs for military vets for Biden. And that was an awesome opportunity to not only represent Fayette County, but to share across Georgia. I heard Bill say, vote blue all the way through. And I think that's what we need to do. When we vote, we win. The former First Lady said it best, Michelle Obama. When we vote, we do win. And we can demonstrate that despite the malpractice that's coming out of the Oval Office. We have to restore the confidence in our democracy. And when you hear someone that attacks the mail-in voting process, but yet already told the American citizens that that's how he has been voting all his life. And so you cannot have the two. You can't say you use a system and you attack a system. And so I personally want to encourage you all, let's get out and vote. As a matter of fact, Madam Chair, as I shared with Virgil on yesterday, that I have 1,000 John Ossoff signs. And so I'm going to bring 150 to the headquarters in Fayette County. As it was already stated, we are well positioned, not just in Fayette County, to see and make some historic wins, as Virgil, my good friend, has stated. But for Georgia, we have 2 United States Senate seats that are open. And if we in Fayette County do our part, that could very well seal the deal on 2 United States Senate seats. And when you vote blue all the way through, that precipitates all the way down to Vicky and Bill and Candace and Eric. That really helps us because right now there's this sense of energy. I'm also on Black Men Vote. I've been, really pushing hard for Black men in particular to make sure the voices are heard. And the only way you can do that is exercise your right at the ballot box. And so for me and my household, we will be voting on October 12th, the first day. We're going to make it a family thing. And my college age student, this was so important to her. I'm bringing her home from Meharry. And so we just got to all do our part, is my point. Do our part to make sure everyone is counted and just be safe. And if you decide to vote in person, please, ma'am, please, sir, wear your mask. Try to stay 6 feet apart. I know it's going to be hard because these lines, as we witnessed on June 9th during the primary, those lines got really, really tight and everybody was well within 6 feet of each other. But just plan, if you do vote in person, plan and make sure you take some lawn chairs, some snacks. If you got the little ones with you, some water. Make sure you don't lock your knees. Then, as a retired military officer, don't lock your knees. We don't want to create any kind of emergency on that day. We just want to make sure that, as Bill stated, when you think about Bill's story, he was talking about his parents. We all have someone that paid the price so that today in 2020, we can exercise our right to vote. When I think about my great-great-grandparents that paid a price and went through what they did in, the early 1900s and where we are today, I have to, as a father of 3 daughters, I have to demonstrate the importance of voting and making sure that you take others to go out and vote as well. There was a time, Virgil, I used to say, I don't care who you vote for, just go vote. No, vote blue all the way through. All the way through. All the way through. If Valencia C., our senator, state senator, was on here, she'd say, vote down the line. Whatever vernacular you want to use, you got to make sure. Down the line all the time. Yeah, that's right. We got to get out and vote. And the last point I would share, Madam Chair, is this. I appreciate you and Virgil and your leadership, making sure even during this pandemic, the phone banking and texting and using all the other communication apparatus, social media, to make sure that we get the word out, keep our citizens informed. because we know despite, again, the malpractice, the idiocracy that's coming out of the Oval Office, that's generating true fake news. You and Virgil, Madam Chair, continue to cut through that. Your energy and your enthusiasm for the party, it really penetrates all the other noise. And so I appreciate using every communication apparatus available to keep the Democratic Party of Fayette County engaged.
Thank you so much, Representative. Let me ask you a personal question. How are you and your family going to manage your vote to vote for Eric Woods in Tyrone's special election?
Yeah, so I'm glad Daryl Hicks informed me of that, because typically I just go in, very, very pleasant, and show them my driver license. They give me a card, but I didn't know that just because this is a special election that I have to specifically ask. So I have to make sure that my daughters are also aware to specifically ask, so that way we can make history in Tyrone. As you all know, Tyrone is near and dear in my heart since 2004. And I've always told folks, everybody, Virgil, everybody always asks me, man, you just ran once and you won. I'm like, no, not quite. Not quite. I ran once, twice, and although the results were not favorable, I learned so much in 2011 and 2015. My beloved and dearly departed wife, she would always tell me, because she was in the world of HR, she was like, oh, you just gonna let this lose defeat you? And she knew that just pushes my buttons, right? And so I tell all the candidates who have ran before, or this is your first time running, perseverance and the amount of assistance that you're getting from the Fayette Democratic Party is like no other. I'm sure those who ran in the past, and to do a comparison, it's like night and day. And so, so I ran 2 other times, and although the results were not favorable, I always tell folks that that was preparation, and it was a test from God to see if I was going to continue to push through. So all the candidates, Bill and Eric, I know you ran before. Let's run through the finish line strong. Candace and Vicky, I know that, and Chris, this is your first time running. Listen, Barack Obama ran for the presidency and he won. And despite what the polls were looking like, despite what the headlines were saying. And so if we just get out and vote, I'm telling you, Michelle Obama was so right, Virgil and Madam Chair, if we get out and vote, we win. And the only reason why it flipped back in 2010, because we didn't get back out and vote. Every time the ballot box is open, even if you ask my grandson that's 14 months old, he would tell you, are we going to vote? Because he just knows that the ballot box is open every day for him. So we just got to get out and vote, ladies and gentlemen.
But did Daryl Anderson babysit that baby? Daryl Anderson.
well, through social media,
Daryl Anderson babysit that grandson.
Yeah, listen, she asks about little Carter all the time. But that's why I do, Madam Chair. That's what you and Virgil and others, that's why we do, because we got to think about the next generation. When you think about the men and women who are serving this country, you think about the families who have lost loved ones to the coronavirus. I know what Bill said when he says the Democratic Party are those to help others and the Republican parties are those that help the 1%. I like to frame it this way. When you think about Democrats, we always tend to have to fall in love with our candidates. The Republicans always just fall in line. I suggest to you all, you don't have to have a list of 50 things to vote for Biden and Harris. It is very clear to me that It's one simple thing. Just tell the truth. My mother, bless her soul, says, if someone lies to you, they would cheat you. And if they would cheat you, they're not telling the truth. And so that's the reason why, you know, my daughters, they want a list of college tuition and all these other lists and they comparison. I encourage that. Do your homework. But in the end, we have a binary system. We cannot sit on the sideline, Madam Chair, on this one. I know we often say this is the most important one. No, this is truly the most important one. This is like having an enemy from within. Anytime you have an attorney general, anytime somebody like a Lindsey Graham that clearly says that you can use my voice against me, and now they're using his voice against them, but they're still pushing through with a Supreme Court justice. Mm-hmm. And so I don't care what or why you need to find yourself going to the ballot box. It could be for RBG. Okay, fine. I'm going to vote for John Lewis because he can't vote for himself. I'm going to vote for Rosa Parks because she's no longer here to vote for herself. I'm going to vote for my grandparents who are no longer here. So when I go to the ballot box, I'm voting for all those who enabled me and you the opportunity to walk through a precinct, a voting poll location without dealing with a poll tax or a literacy exam of any sort, right? And so we cannot sit on the sideline, Madam Chair, on this one. Our democracy is on the line. Our healthcare is on the line. Women's healthcare is on the line. Women's rights, our rights, civil liberties, it's all on the line. My other energy is I just want the person in the Oval Office out. That's it. I just want him out. He does not represent us. He does not represent us. So I don't need a list of 10 or 15 things to vote for Biden and Harris. I'm voting for Biden and Harris because I want the person that's in the Oval Office out. I want Candace in office. I want Bill in office. I want Vicky in office. I want Eric in office. I want Chris in office. And the only way to do that is to vote blue all the way through.
Vote blue all the way through. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you. You're a perfect ending to this meeting, Representative Jackson.
Carolyn, can I ask just one more question? And this is for Daryl, who serves us on the Board of Elections. You mentioned something about what would be necessary to get a special ballot if you want to vote in the Tyrone election. What given that is already October the 10th, should people even try to get an absentee ballot now, or should we focus on?
So let me put Daryl back. I don't know if he's still here.
I'm still here if you can hear me.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
So is it practical to get an absentee ballot application mailed and then get the ballot back and then get that either dropped off or handed to an office? I mean, should people be still trying to get an absentee ballot right now?
So, I mean, there may, so to answer your question is, I probably would not at this stage, but let's just assume that you don't have an option. If you don't have an option, I would not request it at the state level. I wouldn't go to the state website and request it, fill out the application there and electronically request it there. I would print out the application, fill it out, and then mail it directly to Fayette County or have someone take it into the Fayette County election office. That way, you know that you at least cut down that process of the mail process time of mailing an application from the beginning to the election office. And then
Daryl, just one question. Can someone take your application into the office?
Well, that's a family member. A family member can't, or you don't even have to mail it. By the way, you don't even have to mail it. You can scan it and send it to the elections office. On the county website. They have an email address. So you can scan it and send it directly to that office and they will mail it. So you don't even have to take it in. Now, when you get your ballot back, only the person who lives in your house can take your ballot back to the elections office. Derek, you look like you may have a question.
Yeah, I do. Madam Chair, if it's okay, I want to ask Daryl Hicks a question. So if this is a a procedural for those of us who are going to be voting in Tyrone. We only have 2 precincts. So are the precinct captains or are they going to be informing every voter that walks through the door and say, if you want to vote for the special election, you have to request, or is there going to be a sign? Because like, in response to Madam Chair's question, I would have if I did not hear your explanation this morning, I wouldn't have known. And so my concern is I don't want Eric not have the opportunity to win this race if the Tyrone citizens don't know to request for those of us who are voting in person. I mean, right? Me and my 3 daughters are walking in the doors in our precinct, because there are only 2 in Tyrone.
It's 3.
We know to request, but how will other citizens in Tyrone know to do that? Are the poll workers going to say you need to request, or is it going to be a signage? How do we get this word out?
Derek, I mean, you got a good point now. So of the locations, and it's actually 3 locations in Tyrone.
Yeah.
Of the locations, so this isn't normal, Derek. This is actually we hate this process, the Board of Elections. It's a state law that says if you have a municipal election, the municipal residents, the city residents have to vote in the city parameters. They can't go outside and vote in the county. But we have locations that are in the county. So normally this isn't a problem because municipal elections are on odd years. But when you have something like this, when it's a county election going on and a municipal election going on at the same time, the law mandates that we have to have the elections in the city. So to your question, do we normally tell people that go into a county location, don't forget to go vote in the city location? We don't do that. We haven't done that in the past. And so you're right, that could be problematic because they may not know that there's a city election going on.
Right.
And so
so not to cut you off. So then, because my precinct is in the county, so I got to go to 2 different locations.
Yes, sir. You have to get out of one line and go to the other, unless you're doing early voting. If you're doing early voting in one of those 4 locations that we've talked about, both city and county elections are in that same location. By the way, if we can do that in early voting, why in the world can't we do it on election day?
Exactly.
It's a legislative issue that I'd like for Derek Jackson to help us deal with so that we don't look.
Count it done. Let's do it.
The voting machines will allow us to do it, but the state won't let us do it.
Yeah.
Because of some law that says that if you are a city resident, you have to vote in the city.
So
okay, all right. I take that action item. We're going to do it, but that's so. Madam Chair, then I ask you and Virgil, how do we mitigate this challenge? Because Eric has a good chance of winning, but if we don't mitigate this challenge, then that could possibly negatively impact us.
So, Carolyn, talk about the phone banking effort.
The phone banking
for Tyrone.
We are, but that's the other thing that we've run into problems with, is that the voter files are really, they're in bad shape. And so we have made an effort. We have about 6 phone bankers who live in Tyrone who are calling Tyrone residents and informing them of this. But when I say they're in bad shape, the numbers go to landlines, and we have your landline on file, Representative. and so
I don't even answer that landline. It's there for my security system.
Exactly.
And fax machine.
That's what we're talking about. And so I do see that Reed Hamilton is in the chat. He's been training as a poll worker, and he's saying that that they're informing poll workers to mention something about a special election. So I don't know. I haven't gone through the poll worker training. I have to check on that. But you're right. Not only is it this election, we've incurred this in the past. And right now it really is affecting our guy, because as you know, by running in Tyrone, it's a hard nut to crack. And so so we're having a problem.
Madam Chair, I don't know if it's legal for us to do this. And obviously I'm on a board that has 3 members. That's, 2 Republicans and myself being a Democrat. If it's legal for us to do it, I'm going to ask staff to put up a sign that says, if you're voting in a city election, you have to go to a different location. Maybe even say what that location is.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how that can become very political when you start to try to get the board to vote on that, to put those signs up. So,
But it's a nonpartisan race. The special election is nonpartisan.
yeah, but that doesn't mean that the two people who are, I believe I can get one of the other people to help me on that, but that doesn't mean that the 2 people who are on the board doesn't make it partisan.
Right.
Yeah. And again, that's a plug for getting Bill Lytle and Vicki Butler elected so that we can control the Board of Commissioners. So when things come up like that, we can easily help our citizens, all of our citizens throughout the county, because this helps everyone. It's not just favoring one party over another.
Yeah,
so, all right. Well, I want to thank you. Yes, Daryl, did you have one?
No, I was about to say, I think it's worth the effort to try to get that done. And again, I think I have support on the board to ask the question and see if we can't get it done.
Okay, so Representative Rousseau just chimed in. He wants, where are you, Representative? He said he had a question.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
This is Charles. Charles, are you available by phone? Okay, I can't.
What, did he ask the question in the chat or?
Yeah, can you ask it in the chat, please? Yeah, I don't, let me see if there's a question here. Yeah, I don't, Commissioner, would you answer your question in the chat?
He said, let him back in, Madam Chair. Is he in the waiting room?
I'm looking for him. Yeah, panelist, I don't see him as an attendee. Are you still in the meeting, Commissioner? Yeah, I don't see him as an attendee in the meeting.
He said, I'm here. He sent the chat to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, let me back in. I'm here. Signage. Yeah, I can't. I don't even see him here. I see him. Got him. Okay, he's raising his hand. Okay, sorry about that.
You know, Charles gonna find a way, Madam Chair.
All right. Yes, there you go. You can't hear you.
I'm raising my hand. I'm hitting the screen. I'm hollering at y'all. I mean, come on now. What kind of operation we running around here?
Thank you for your patience.
Not a problem, Madam Chair. Daryl, you got around to answering the question in terms of signage. One, I'd like for also you to consider putting it on the Board of Elections website. And then let's do a series of videos. Let's do a series of live videos. Derek, you're the king of what they call that, live Facebook. We can do that in terms of giving instructions to people, particularly who live in Tyrone, that follow us, and those who don't, who have friends and families and neighbors over there, sharing that message. So addition to that, Madam Chair, on the FCDC site, we need to use that. We need to do some video chats. We need to do some live shots, educating people beginning on tomorrow about the special circumstances surrounding Tyrone. And if, Daryl, you have any difficulties with your colleagues, you shouldn't, because it's an innocuous issue of educating voters about how to make sure their vote counts and for them to participate in that special election in Tyrone. I like signage. I'll hit the roof if anybody opposes that. You have an responsibility to let the voters know, and I know you take that seriously, that there are special circumstances or steps that need to be taken to exercise their vote in the town of Tyrone. Eric, on your site, you need to begin to sound that alarm regularly and often, even in your live video chats, educating people about the steps they need to take to vote for you in the town of Tyrone. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are at a close. We have about 4 more minutes to go. I certainly want to thank all of the panelists for joining us this morning. I want to thank all of our FCDC members and visitors for joining in this morning. And the next time we see you, we're going to have a new blue group, starting from the White House all the way down, vote blue all the way through. I love that slogan. So our county will be blue, our state will be blue, the country will be blue, and it will all be because of you and your votes. So please be safe and vote. Thank you. See you next month. Bye-bye.